It is now officially 2026. It's a brand new year, and of course, we gotta bring it back. I mean, come on. What better way could I have started this year? Everybody knows me as like the Mario man baby, and God knows how many times I've talked about this topic. It's probably more than 100. Oh my gosh. They say the first step is admitting that you have a problem, and hey, I'm admitting I have a problem, okay? I love Mario, and especially 3D Mario games, and ever since Odyssey, I've been so excited to see where they're gonna go next with the series, and in fact, I really thought for sure 2025 was going to be the year. I was willing to bet everything on it. I would have lost everything on it. But it's a new year, so you know what that means. More hype and also more delusion and sadness. Lots of sadness. Now, there's a lot that I want to sit here and unpack, but before we get started, guys, it's a brand new year. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. If you aren't subscribed already, then maybe it's because you want to stay away from the Mario madness. I get it. I completely get it. But we're trying to reach 400,000 subscribers very, very soon. You guys blew it up at the last video of 2025. Let's do it again with the first video of 2026. Let's see how many people we get to subscribe from this one video alone. Thank you so much. Mario Madness time. Going back to the beginning of 2025, I was so certain it was time that we'd see the next 3D Mario. I was so certain, in fact, I was even posting videos saying 21 days until we get to see 3D Mario, 10 days, 8 days, 6 days. I was literally that confident. Yeah, I can see why people hated me for this. Look, as someone that does post some clickbait, this was not my intention, I promise you. I genuinely thought in my head, why wouldn't it be here? I knew Mario Kart probably was, and I thought 3D Mario also had a really good chance, and I thought if they were ever going to combat something as crazy as 2017's Breath of the Wild Mario Odyssey combo, it would have to be something like a 3D Mario Kart combo or something along those lines. But I was just so sure because it's been just about 8 years at the time, so I thought it had to be here, and if it wasn't here, it'd be announced somewhere within the year, right? And obviously we never did get that announcement. Not only was it not announced for the Switch 2 Direct, but it wasn't announced for the September Fall Nintendo Direct either. It started to become very clear to me that Mario Kart was that big Mario game, and Donkey Kong Bonanza was going to take the place of a 3D adventure game for Nintendo's big 3D Mario that we all were expecting. And I know at the time I was a little grumpy and just a brat when it came to 3D Donkey Kong. I was so excited to see 3D Donkey Kong. Do not get me wrong. I've been waiting too for a 3D Donkey Kong game, but it felt like a lot of people were almost making it seem like it was replacing Mario altogether. And that's for a video in and of itself, but no, Donkey Kong does not replace Mario. They are two completely different games. Are there lots of similarities between Mario Odyssey and Donkey Kong Bonanza? Absolutely. I mean, a big chunk of the team was reported to be working on this game, so that was no question, but still, if you play Donkey Kong Bonanza and you played any other 3D Mario game, you know very quickly that they play completely different. Where Donkey Kong Bonanza was more about just destruction, digging and breaking through the ground, and kind of just playing around with this giant sandbox and voxel technology. This is never what 3D Mario has been about. 3D Mario has been about puzzles and platforming first. It's always about jumping to the next platform, using cool power-ups to get to your next location. That is what 3D Mario has always been about. And it's weird to see people say, oh, you got Donkey Kong Bonanza, shut your mouth. That's not the same thing. And let me make it clear to a lot of you guys, it's not that I was super expecting 3D Mario to be released last year. It was the fact that it wasn't revealed at all, or even teased in any capacity. That is what was so strange to me, because can you believe this October will now mark 9 years since Super Mario Odyssey? Look, I get game development takes a while now, especially in this day and age, but look, pretty soon, good lord, we're reaching GTA 6 numbers. That now brings me to this year, in 2026, and I'll tell you right off the gate, this year is different for me. I think I've kind of had the excitement, joy sucked out of my veins from Nintendo now. The fact that we haven't even seen a glimpse of this next 3D Mario game on Nintendo's brand new, expensive, shiny new hardware. However, this isn't a video for me to fearmonger or make you feel like, you know, this game isn't coming, but this is not going to be a video of me saying it's happening this year. I've been over that. I will not do that again. And I am no longer going into Nintendo Directs expecting to even see a reveal or even a tease of this game. In fact, I'm just wiping my mind completely. When it comes, it comes. But of course, we have to talk about it and speculate, because I think for the first time in a long time, it's not just me. I'm seeing people all over Twitter, social medias of all sorts saying this has got to be the year, right? Like, it has to be the year, right? Trust me, I would want nothing more for 3D Mario to be revealed at the next Nintendo Direct and be a big holiday game and get us excited for the entire year for this game. And literally, it could just be this game as the only new announcement for next year, and I think most of us will be a-okay. I think a lot of people are saying this right now because we love to look forward to what big Nintendo game is next. And for a lot of people, there was only two massive games maybe for us on the Switch 2, being Mario Kart and Donkey Kong Bonanza. And people are looking at the 2026 lineup, and I'll be honest with you, there's some games. Look, it's not a terrible lineup, and I know this is not counting all the big surprises that Nintendo's probably going to have in the next main Nintendo Direct, but still, as a huge Nintendo fan, this isn't super exciting looking for me, so I couldn't imagine what it looks like for the general audience. Most people are going to look at this and see lots of Switch 2 editions, smaller titles, spin-offs, and then see Xenoblade as probably the biggest game for next year, and a lot of people are going to be wondering, what other big games are we going to be receiving? Well, when you look at what Nintendo's released already with Switch 2, a lot of people are thinking, okay, where's that Breath of the Wild style of game? That big game where the entire world is talking about it. I mean, people are buying Switch 2s in dozens for this specific game alone. Switch 2 doesn't really have that right now, and a lot of people are thinking, well, one big game that could be is 100% 3D Mario. Nintendo just had one of their worst holiday months ever. We don't know much about December, but November was very, very low for the Switch 2. In fact, there were more PS5s sold than Switch 2s, and the PS5 has been on the market for 5 years. The Switch 2 was only like, what, 5 to 6 months old at the time? I mean, this thing freaking almost outsold the Switch 2 in November. And I like to hear people's reasoning why this is. There's lots of analytical things that people will say, like, oh, it's because of Nintendo's business decision, or their prices, or, you know, certain things with the market. I really don't think it's all that difficult to really process what's going on here. When you look at what Nintendo's releasing, it's just kind of smaller scale games. It's spin-offs, ports, remakes, remasters. It's not the stuff that people go in buying a $450 console for. If a general consumer is going to buy a console, they're looking for this guy. So if we continue to see Nintendo Switch 2 sales dropping off through the holiday and the beginning of this year, it's going to be a very scary sign for Nintendo to, hey, you got to hurry up and get some games announced. Those big ones that people are waiting for. The Smash Brothers, the Zeldas, the Marios, the stuff that people want to go out and buy this console for. And 3D Mario has to be soon. I mean, dude, 9 years this October. I couldn't imagine pushing 10. Okay, I'm yapping. I'm putting you to sleep. Let me talk about when I think this is happening. I think Nintendo just wanted Mario Kart and Donkey Kong to have some time to breathe before they start to get into the 3D Mario goodness. And since we're out of the year of 2025, and in the second months and year 2 of Nintendo Switch 2, I think it's time for them to ramp things up and give us this reveal relatively soon. Now, once again, I'm not making predictions and saying when this is going to happen, but I mean, if Nintendo wants this game to be a big holiday game, I feel like they're going to kind of have to reveal it in the February Nintendo Direct, or whenever the first one is this year. I mean, technically they could wait until like the June E3 timeframe where they have a June Nintendo Direct, but it just would kind of take away from the hype just to have a quick trailer and then say, hey, the game's coming out in a couple of months. Like, I want to build that hype for the whole year, like they did with Mario Odyssey, giving us a little sneak peek, and then finally giving us that official reveal in January to start the year for a release in October. So if they are going to have a big 3D Mario game this year, I am really hoping that they do reveal it in January or February's Nintendo Direct. In fact, I'm going out on a limb and saying if there's no reveal of a 3D Mario game in the upcoming Nintendo Direct, I think I'm clocking out for 2026 already. I know it's quick and I know it's a extremely silly thing to do, but like, I mean, I just feel like it's either there or not there. Now, I will say something that's kind of interesting is we really don't have a game that would feel like a replacement. You know, it doesn't feel like there's like a Mario Kart or a 3D Donkey Kong or something that's replacing a possible 3D Mario for this year. I mean, we don't even really have a 3D platformer outside of Splatoon Raiders, and we don't even know what that game is going to be about or how it's going to play or anything. All we know is it's a third-person shooter adventure game. But even then, I do not think this could be a replacement for a 3D Mario game. Now, something I'm a bit more confident on right now is Luigi's Mansion. I don't know, I feel like it's time for Luigi's Mansion 4, and I feel like that could be a big holiday game this year. I mean, Luigi's Mansion 3 sold extremely well, so I would not be complaining whatsoever, but I can still see a lot of people being upset that Mario is still not here if it's just Luigi's Mansion and Splatoon. Now, I will say I'm pretty confident that at least one of these games are going to happen this year. I'm not putting bets, I'm not placing bets or anything like that. I'm just stating, like, it feels like one of these games kind of has to happen based on just also how long it's been since the last games and how successful both of these franchises are. I guess you could also throw Smash Brothers in the mix, but man, it just feels like it's gotta be 3D Mario or Luigi's Mansion in 2026 in some month. Also, at least to me, the Switch 2 hasn't had a single game that's felt like an cultural impact, you know what I mean? Something like the entire world is talking about. I love Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I think it should have been a bigger deal for a lot of us than it was. I feel like it kind of just came and went, and us Nintendo fans loved it, but no one else was really talking about it, because it's still not on the scale of something like Breath of the Wild, or Mario Odyssey, or Smash Ultimate, you know what I mean? Something that just truly captivates the general audience along with the fanboys as well. And I think that's exactly why we've been waiting for so long. I do think this next 3D Mario game is going to be massive. I think it's going to use the blueprints of Bowser's Fury and become some awesome, huge, maybe even open world experience, not in a bad way. Good open world. I know you remember how big Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were. I mean, Breath of the Wild alone warranted an entire E3 showcase from Nintendo on just Breath of the Wild alone. There was no other game reveals, just an entire E3 dedicated to one game, because Nintendo knew how big that game was. I really am feeling that same sort of vibe with this upcoming Mario game. I feel like this is going to be a game that shakes the series up and puts it on its head, and I can't wait to see what they're cooking up. I'm not even going to try to predict anymore what this game is going to be. I'm just ready to see the thing. So what is my takeaway, and what do I think for the year of 2026? I'll make it extremely simple. If a brand new 3D Mario is not revealed at the upcoming Nintendo Direct to start the year, I do not think a 3D Mario is releasing this year, unfortunately. Now, there's still a good chance we could get a reveal trailer in the middle of the year or the end of the year for a release at the beginning of 2027 or the middle or even end of 2027, which just sounds like a horrible nightmare. But I would be truly worried and confused if we don't see the game this year at all. Like, seriously. I mean, I've had some worries before, but I mean, I would be truly worried if we do not even see the game this year. If there's 3 main Nintendo Directs, one in the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the end, and we still don't even see a tease for this 3D Mario game, there is something seriously wrong with this game's development, or something bad has happened, because there is no reason in the world we should have to wait almost 10 years for a new 3D Mario game. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It should never have to be, oh, we got a 3D Donkey Kong or maybe another Captain Toad or something. That's why we had to wait. No. I mean, if that's the case, then maybe we need different teams working on these different games, because there's no way just because we got a 3D Donkey Kong, we should have to suffer multiple more years waiting for the next 3D Mario game. I mean, a decade for the new 3D Mario is just not okay. And as Switch 2 sales are starting to peter off and it's starting to lose its legs, they desperately need to reveal this thing to get the hype back up, because I feel like right now the hype is starting to dwindle off. People are kind of like, okay, you know, the first 6 months are over. We have this lineup that just looks like another year of Nintendo Switch games. So what's next? What's their big plans? What's their big things that they have coming up? Who knows? They might have some bigger things like Smash Brothers or Animal Crossing, something that we're not even thinking about right now, but only time will tell. But of course, I'll leave it up to you guys. Is it finally 3D Mario time, or am I going to be once again a salty boy talking about how Nintendo has forgotten about Mario? So as the time of recording this video, I think there's about a 50 to 60% chance that a 3D Mario will be released this year, and I think there's about an 85 to 90% chance that we will see 3D Mario in some capacity, because if not, oh boy. But I'm hoping you guys all have a blessed new year. I'm hoping that all of our Mario wishes come true, and finally 2026 is the year of the plumber, because if not, Nintendo, I'm making a sequel to this video.